Welcome back to Toriano Knows Ball. This is your boy Toriano Newkirk. Today we're going to dive into a worst case scenario for the Jacksonville Jaguars at fifth overall. This is absolutely, and I mean absolutely, the worst case scenario for the Jaguars and what I think they will do and what their options are. So today we're going to go ahead and start off by letting you know what the scenario is at the first four selections. And first overall, you have Cam Ward, the quarterback out of University of Miami, going to the Tennessee Titans, which is, depending on who you ask, a bad situation for the Jaguars as he could be a quarterback to elevate that program. The second overall selection would be Abdul Carter to the Cleveland Browns, edge rusher out of Penn State. The third overall selection would be Colorado athlete, cornerback slash wide receiver Travis Hunter going to the New York Giants. And at fourth overall, the Patriots selecting interior defensive lineman Mason Graham out of Michigan. So now that we have that out of the way, what's left on the board? How does your big board look? What would James Gladstone and Liam Cohen come to a consensus on? First off, your biggest option would be the last blue chip player available in Ashton Jeanty, the running back out of Boise State. This guy is the best running back to come out of college since I would say Saquon Barkley. Uh, I mean, and Saquon Barkley went fourth overall. So the value is kind of tricky here. There's some questions about the level of play, the competition that he played against. Ashton Jeanty had a total of 397 touches, that's catches and as well as runs. He had a total of 2,739 total yards, that's on the ground and in the air, and a total of 30 touchdowns last year. That's not career, last year. So, as you can see, there is some major intrigue. He is a big time offensive weapon. The Jaguars need weapons. Travis Etienne and Tank Bixby have had fumbling issues. Jeanty has a 1.4% fumble rate, which is not necessarily high compared to the two guys that you have on the roster. And most of his fumbles came late in the year after being banged up a little bit, going through that Heisman runner-up season. So, if you look at it from a certain extent, he did get a lot of touches. That would obviously want to be reduced coming into the league, but you would like to manage his touches. Bring him into a backfield that has either a Travis Etienne or a Tank Bixby. I would assume you trade one of them if you were to draft Ashton Jeanty. But once again, like I said, Jeanty is the best player available currently. So you obviously have to take a look there. He's also a Jacksonville, Florida native, although he reps the Texas area. I do know that he is from this area. He has attended high school in this area. So that's an option. He is the fifth overall player on my personal board. He is the last blue chip player available, and it is an option that you have to look at. The next will be the offensive line. There are two prospects that are considered top 10 prospects in this draft class at the offensive line position, both of them being tackles, playing at the opposite ends with Will Campbell out of LSU playing the left tackle position and Armand Membaugh playing the right tackle position coming out of the University of Missouri. Both SEC tackles. So they have played a high level of competition. Their tape speaks very highly. Campbell did struggle a little bit more so than Membaugh. Membaugh is an analytics darling. If you've seen my posts over the past couple of days, as well as when we were trending towards taking an offensive lineman, you do know that I prefer Armand Membaugh in this class. He did not give up any sacks or pressures this past season compared to Will Campbell, who gave up 2 sacks and I believe 16 rushes. So those pressures matter. And he has some very quotable lines in terms of his press conferences where he talks about if you were to give up a sack a game as an offensive lineman, you're working at Amazon. If you were a defensive lineman and you got a sack per game, you're going first round. So I do agree with that sentiment, but the production still matters at the offensive line. I do believe that Campbell projects better as a guard. I think Membaugh could play guard as well. So I think they both have some versatility there, but I think Membaugh will stick at tackle greater than Campbell will. Mimbo has experience at both spots between the right guard and the right tackle spot, coming out of high school as well. So Mimbo to me is the more flexible player. He fits what the Jaguars are looking for in terms of mentality. And if you were to try to get that centerpiece offensive lineman, I would rather project Mimbo in terms of the physical tools, the analytics, the numbers that he gave up in the SEC, where he had 0 sacks, 0 pressures. This is a very, very solid athlete as well. He was one of the top athletes at the combine on the offensive line. And to me, the IQ just stands out when you watch the tape. The hand usage is phenomenal. Campbell, I would also credit his hand usage, but I think Membo is a little bit better in the run game. That was an issue for us looking into Anton Harrison. He is a pass protection pro at the right tackle spot, but Membo is able to do both sides of the pass game and running game very, very well. So if you're looking to replace Walker Little, if you're James Gladstone, I think Mimbo could translate to left tackle, or you could move Anton Harrison to left tackle and have a competition between the two tackles that are currently on the roster for that left tackle position and place Mimbo as your right tackle. And then again, Mimbo, like I said, has guard flexibility. He could be your left guard of the future, or you can say Makari is going to be your center rather than Robert Hainsey and put Mimbo at right guard. So it gives you a lot to work with. I think Mimbo would be the better selection here between the two. But now that we talked about offensive linemen, let's dive into some trade down scenarios. The two players that I would be willing to trade down for would be Tetaroa McMillan, the wide receiver out of the University of Arizona, as well as Jahdae Barron, the cornerback out of the University of Texas. He has played safety, he has played slot nickel cornerback, as well as outside cornerback this season, where he got 369 reps at outside corner. So as you've seen, if you probably looked at his analytics as well as his stats, the past 3 seasons he's played 3 different positions. So when you make the projection of what this guy is going to be, you go based off of the tape this season, but you also look at the tape of the previous seasons to see where he excels at the most. And I think personally he excelled at outside corner, but he also provides you that inside versatility. And I think if you were to go trade down, this is where I would start to head. But respectfully for Tedoroy McMillan, we'll dive into him as a wide receiver as well. If you were to select McMillan, I think he would be your X receiver, allow for Brian Thomas Jr. to slot into the Z slot, where we see a lot of Justin Jefferson type play, where you can move the guy around, you can play him out in space, even move him into the slot, which Brian Thomas Jr. ranked third in slot usage as well as slot numbers as far as yards per route run. He had 3.12 yards per route run from the slot position. So that is something that Liam Cohen is aware of. That is something that he has said will be utilized. He will not be a primary slot receiver, but you will see more of Brian Thomas Jr. in the slot. So I think having an X receiver that can free Brian Thomas Jr. up to move outside in would really elevate this offense, give you another big time threat down the field, another big body who can also get some yards after the catch. I don't understand the hatred on Tedoroy McMillan right now. I am still up on him. There's some contention for wide receiver one, of course, but I do think he's still firmly in that spot for me. I think Luther Burden is in the competition for it. Obviously, Emeka Ibuka, but Emeka Ibuka is more so a slot only type guy. So there's really, really, Matthew Golden is a riser, a big time riser, but I think that's really primarily due to the college playoff. The breakout age is kind of lacking, but the production is there. I think if you were to take one, in the 8 to 9 range in a trade down, it would be McMillan. I wouldn't be surprised if it were Golden, but I think it would be McMillan at this stage. But going back to Jahdae Barron, he has experience slot, nickel corner, safety, whether it be in the two high, the one shell, and then playing outside corner this past season primarily, and showing out. I mean, if you've seen my tweets about Jahdae Barron, if you've seen the tweets about Tay, his response to Jahdae Barron, the agenda is alive. I think this guy has high character, high motor, the ability to be coachable and understand that he can be a chess piece on the field. I think Campanile would want that. He wants, some inside out versatility from what I've heard. Jordan Lewis and Jarian Jones provide that. But Jahdae Barron would make this secondary, uh, it would be a chess match every game, to be able to game plan and kind of play to their strengths and see what the matchups are. Would kind of be like having a basketball squad now. You can kind of play, modern basketball with your cornerbacks and just say match up and go get this guy, go get that guy, instead of playing having your set left, right cornerback, your slot, and then your third, fourth cornerback coming in and rotating. So, in my eyes, Barron kind of really unlocks the defense. He allows for you to play a bit more freely on the boundary, as well as rotate some guys in and out from the slot position and play more dime and nickel packages, which I think they will play more. What I've been hearing is Campanile will be bringing more cover six and cover four packages. Most likely, will bring a lot more dime packages as well. So bringing a Jahdae Barron in here really, really, really lifts the ceiling of this defense. I think he's a premier player. I think he's right outside of that blue chip territory. I think he's one of the bigger risers from this process as well, alongside his teammate Matthew Golden. But Barron to me is a gem. I think he would be able to upgrade multiple rooms in this scenario. Um, Obviously, he's not as versatile as a Travis Hunter, who I think could play four positions, being slot corners, outside receiver, slot receiver, and outside receiver. But this is a guy that can play three positions, can really unlock what you want to do on defense, and allow you to play more versatile zone coverages and play more nickel and dime packages, which is a system that Vic Fangio has mastered, and which Campanile is a disciple of. So I think getting a Jahdae Barron trading down to 8 or 9 would be the perfect scenario here. If I were to give you a complete trade idea, it would be the fifth and 182nd selection to the New Orleans Saints for ninth overall, 40th overall, and 131st overall, in which we select Jahdae Barron out of the University of Texas. And this is your next outside corner, providing that Jarian Jones is still on the roster and Jordan Lewis being your big time nickelback, and then still keeping, of course, a Monteric Brown or DeAndre Prince on the roster. I think both of those guys deserve to be here. So now you're looking at a top six room of Tyson Campbell, Jahdae Barron, who I think would probably be your corner one in this time, unless you feel like Tyson Campbell can remain healthy. Jordan Lewis starting in the nickel, Jarian Jones as your fourth guy that can play inside out, Monteric Brown as your fifth, who's primarily an outside guy, and then DeAndre Prince, who can play inside out as well. So let me know how you guys feel about this, what you think your favorite option is, and if Jahdae Barron trade down is your favorite selection. Uh, Give me a comment below and let me know what you would do in this scenario, in this worst case scenario for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Thank you guys so much for watching, and go Jaguars.